All right, everybody. Thanks so much for coming out. Is this on? Is that enough heat? No? Here. I don't know if they turn it. It's on.
It's on. Hold up. Get you going.
Check, check. No. Check, check. I can hear you. Yeah, right. Come on.
Oh, wait. Here.
Check, 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 check.
Silky voices go.
That one's perfect. That one.
So we had to move stuff around here a little bit today because we got some amazing sound effects and some stuff going on. Should be pretty cool. Yeah, go ahead. Oh yeah, good call. There we go.
You're hot.
All right, I think we're live now. Here we go. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
All right, great. Thanks everybody for coming out to Rocky Mountain Angular, the meetup tonight. We appreciate everybody making the journey and coming on down. We've got a great presentation for you on Firebase. Before we get to that though, we're gonna walk through a couple of slides here. One of the new introductions that we have here is the code of conduct. This has been added to the Rocky Mountain Angular meetup page. This is borrowed from NGConf. They were nice enough to help extend this to us. And really what we want here is an environment where everybody feels safe to learn and participate and be part of the group. And so by attending, we ask that you read the code of conduct. We don't have to read it right now, but that you get familiar with it and that you agree to it. Otherwise, please don't come down. This is really important to us. We want to have this environment where people feel safe, and we don't want to have any sorts of other problems. So this includes, a couple of things here. Avoiding offensive language, avoiding topics and issues that are polarizing, avoid trying to further romantic interests, and avoid dishonesty and bullying. Number one thing is if you feel like one of these has happened to you at one of our meetups or with the Rocky Mountain Angular group, email us, reach out to one of us, or call our dedicated number for this, and we'll address it immediately and very, very seriously. So I just want to let everybody know about that. All right, housekeeping stuff. Main thing is call for presenters. So we're always looking for new presenters. We're talking to Carl tonight a little bit about an idea that he has. We're also talking to David East over here about doing one in August, and of course, Mr. Spivey over here, we got to get him dragged in here fairly soon. So if you're looking, actually go back one. If you're looking to present, you've got an idea that you want to present on, send us an email to meetups@briebug.com, or you can get onto the meetup.com page for Rocky Mountain Angular, and you can go ahead and put on there a suggestion for a meetup. I also encourage you, if there's a topic that you want to hear about, if there's something that's out there that you're like, wow, I'd really love to learn this, and no one's presenting on it, make a suggestion. Even if you don't want to be the one presenting on it, we'll find somebody to come present it. So, all right, next slide. All right, so now to the portion of just general networking and announcements here. Is anybody looking for work? All right, was it Jason?
Yeah.
All right, Jason, what are you looking for?
Front-end development. I've been doing web design for almost 20 years now.
20 years of web design development. That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah, so pivoting and trying to go a little bit more technical. I did a lot of JavaScript, jQuery, Bootstrap in my last position.
Okay, great. Those are great.
Looking into new libraries and frameworks like React, Vue, and
excellent. Angular, we can definitely help you with here. That's definitely great. All right, so if anybody's looking for somebody that has a lot of web experience, web development experience, but might not have the exact Angular experience, we usually find that these types of individuals can do really, really well and be able to contribute very quickly in a company. So anybody else looking for work? No? All right. Anybody looking for developers? Anybody need help? No? Anybody? Nothing? I'll say that at BrieBug, we're always hiring for senior developers. Senior Angular developers, especially if you have NGRX experience, come talk to us. We're always looking for people in that space. And Jason, we might be having a conversation with you as well and see. So, Steve, you were raising your hand. Are you looking for somebody?
No, I wanted to, maybe you have a slide for this, but you have this Angular Colorado Slack channel that I started several months ago. And picked up a little steam at the beginning and then it pretty much went quiet. Today I could have put some more advertising out for it. So there is a Slack channel. I think one of the best benefits for people looking for jobs or if you have companies that post on there, have your key features and just talk about Angular topics. People don't post on there, then it go away.
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, this is Steve Whitman, and he runs Angular Boulder. Steve, why don't you stand up really quick? Say hi to everybody. So he's been doing this now for, what, a year? Actually, yeah, give Steve a big hand of applause here. All right. You've been running Angular Boulder for how long now?
A little over a year.
Over a year now. Okay, excellent. So we're here to help support Angular Boulder. I've gone up and done a couple of talks up there. A great group. And so if you haven't already got on the Slack channel, there's Angular Colorado. I get on there and try and post and let people know about meetups and stuff like that. So if you haven't got on there, please take a minute and jump on there and let's see if we can build that community just a little bit. All right, announcements. We got a couple of announcements here, some new things that have come out. I don't know a lot about the first one here, but we've got the Angular Ivy Ready Firebase app. This is a WYSIWYG prototyping tool that allows designers to use Angular components to create these realistic data-driven prototypes. So I hear that's pretty cool. We've also got, I'm going to save the middle one for last, we also have tree-shakeable providers. So this is important. It allows us to reduce our code when we go to build. And the last one here is one that we contributed here at BrieBug. It's just schematics. So I was doing an Angular Air episode, gosh, I think it was in April and maybe early May. And one of the challenges that we were talking about bringing Jest into a CLI project is, well, gosh, it'd be great if there was a schematic for this. And so we went ahead and wrote a schematic. And if you want to go ahead and click to the next slide. So actually I put one of our developers, Kevin Schuhart, on it, and he went ahead and developed the Jest schematic. So you can pull this down with npm, but it's easy as just saying ng add @BrieBug /Jest. We're actually going to change it so it's Jest schematic, but that's coming here soon. But what it'll do is it'll go ahead and modify your CLI project. It'll go ahead and start to remove some of the Karma pieces and go ahead and configure Jest so it'll just start working immediately and you don't have to go through the configuration process.
What's
so,
Jest?
If you don't know what Jest is, I've done lots of talks on Jest. Jest is a great testing framework that allows you to do snapshot testing. That's one great feature of it. It's also just amazingly fast. It has a really great console to it that allows me to run only failed tests. So who's had it where they've created tests and then they check them into production with an XIT or XDescribe or an X or you know, any one of those. You know, they'll do a fit, you know, and that's just, yeah, F it. And it's like that's the only one that runs. And all of a sudden it's like, wow, man, we've got one test in production. This is wonderful. So Jest actually allows you to run just failed tests, so you don't have to do that. You can also use regex expressions as well as just file matching to be able to find the right test that you want, either by file name or by the description name. So lots of little features like that. If you go out to the BrieBug YouTube channel, you can watch a video that I did at NGConf on it, and I'll give you a little bit more detail. All right, so upcoming meetups. We got a couple upcoming meetups here. We've got Women Who Code for Boulder, Denver. It's coming up on the 12th, so that is tomorrow night. So it's the Denver JavaScript Study Group at SendGrid. We have Denver Hack Night also tomorrow night at 7:30 at Cobalt Action. And in our own Angular Boulder, Steve Whitman is hosting on the 16th, so that's next Monday, 5:30. And it is, ooh, this is great, visual communication with Angular and D3. So this is up at NetApp. It's super easy to get to. There's a parking garage right across the street and a ton of parking right outside. So if you're up in that region up that way, definitely see if you can make it. All right, so honestly, show of hands here. Who has a ticket to Angular Denver?
Woo!
Wow, okay, quite a few. Now we just got to talk to the people that don't have a ticket, right? All right. Now, if you haven't thought about this yet, Angular Denver is a one-day conference with 2 days of workshops. So this is our attempt to bring an Angular conference here to Denver. We've got 12 great speakers that are coming out, and it will be an absolutely fantastic conference. This is a not-for-profit conference. So what we're going to do with any of the proceeds, or the profits actually, not the proceeds, the profits from the conference, we're going to turn around and donate to an unsuspecting charity that helps kids with technology. And so we're not doing it for any sort of profit. We want to bring amazing speakers like this to our community so that we can all learn from them and get the benefit from that. So if you haven't checked it out yet, go check it out. Oh, by the way, the price right now is $100 to get a ticket. Okay, I'll tell you this alone. The food, I think, is what, $65 alone just for the food. That's the ratio on this. But what's going to happen on Sunday, I think Sunday night, the ticket price is going to go up by $50. Okay, so get your tickets now. And that's an increase on both the conference as well as the workshops. Those will each go up by $50. So we want to encourage you to go ahead and buy it. We don't want to charge you the additional money. So get your tickets now for it.
NGConf is $1,300 to buy a ticket.
Yeah, NGConf.
This is the cheapest conference you can go to.
This is the cheapest conference you can go to. So what we're hoping here is that, and it looks very like it's going to be absolutely fantastic and very successful, is that we can build this into a multi-day conference here in Denver and continue to attract amazing speakers coming here. So we have 5 full-day workshops. I'm teaching Angular fundamentals. It's a 2-day class. You can sign up for one or the other or both. And it's a great opportunity to dig in and learn about Angular fundamentals. We've got the Joe Eames coming. He's going to do unit testing Angular like a boss. I've done that class with him. I actually, at NGConf, I sat in as an assistant to help out people and make sure that they were able to get through things quickly. It is an amazing class. I highly recommend it. We've got our own Brian Love. He's actually sitting right here, and he is doing a NGRX class. Don't sweat the state stuff. I love that. That is an awesome title. And we have Sam Julian for Real World NG Upgrade. So if you haven't looked at Sam Julian's upgrade class, it's available online. The Google team and the Angular team have just absolutely raved about what he's done there. It is really the go-to guide, and he's going to do a 1-day workshop and walk you through that personally. So right now, workshops are $350 per day. Is it $350? No, $300. $300 a day. My mistake. $300 a day. They're going to go to $350 after Sunday. So get your tickets now for it. And do we have anything else? I think that's, oh, by the way, we are live streaming on YouTube. So one of the big changes that we've made in the last couple of months here is that we're now live streaming on YouTube. So if you're not able to make it to the meetup, you can go ahead and watch it on the live stream. You can watch it later. So actually, if you would, everyone, like, I don't know, stand up and turn around towards Kaylee and say, wave and say hi. Yay, hi. All right. Yeah, that was not very loud, but that's okay. We'll work on that, okay? We're going to have to probably practice that before we get going. All right, so, and then last slide. Okay, do you want a t-shirt or a water bottle? We've got some over here. We're giving those away to anybody that asks questions. The best questions get the t-shirts and the water bottle, so would love to give those away to you. And last, I want to introduce our speaker tonight. Jamie Perkins is an amazing developer. He's been here, for about a year now?
Just about.
Just about a year, yeah. And he's done a lot of work. He's a mapping specialist in the JavaScript arena, so it's amazing to watch him do some of the stuff that he does and with mapping and his vast knowledge in that. So he is an amazing Angular developer, and so with tonight we are going to dig into Firebase. And with that, let's give it up to Jamie, and let's have a great night.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. Oh, please. Okay. All right, let me get this going here. Welcome to 0 to app in 30 minutes with AngularFire. Hope you guys emptied out your brains, because, yeah. All right. What is AngularFire? It's a thin observable-based wrapper around the Firebase SDK. And actually, I want to let you guys know this is kind of cool. We're lucky enough to have one of the core contributors of AngularFire, David East, in our audience. Let's give him a warm round of applause. Yeah, it's actually pretty cool, you guys. All right. What is Firebase? It's all the backend infrastructure you need to build an app, packaged up into neat little client-side APIs. Firebase replaces all of these. Notice the big one in the corner there, AWS? Yeah, that's pretty important. Identity services like Auth0 and Okta, Heroku, hosted database solutions such as Compose and MLab, CDNs, and of course just your good old web hosts like Rackspace and DigitalOcean. So what are the drawbacks of Firebase? I mean, surely it can't be that amazing, can it? I mean, actually it is pretty amazing, but you can't really migrate away from it. It is possible. It's kind of difficult to get your users out of it. You know, it's got a full-featured API, so you can get creative and write scripts that will pull everything down. But if you've already built an app in Firebase, all of your code is, you know, doing all the work, and it's built to work with Firebase. Cron jobs are a little tricky. It is possible, but it takes a little bit of special setup. There are querying limitations, specifically like aggregate queries, I think might be a little bit more powerful if you move to something like Mongo, but that's not my area of expertise, so really I'm not the one to ask about that. I just know that there are certain querying limitations with Firebase. And finally, you can't really query your users. You have access to them in the console. I'm looking at David to see if he's like either agreeing with me or disagreeing with me. Okay, yeah, it is. Okay, so what we're going to do tonight is build a mapping app where you can drop a pin on a map where you're from. We'll cover sign-in, auth guards on routes, and CRUDing Firestore data. And I'll deploy the app in real time. And we'll do all that in 30 minutes. There is a disclaimer. Okay. So without further ado. Oops, go back.
I'll be there 20 minutes.
Okay. So let's new up an app. They call it
bigger.
maybe called Hometowns. And I was gonna do this beforehand and I forgot, so we're gonna have to wait. All right, is it done?
Nope.
Because my elevator music ran out. Still going. Okay, it's done. Let me just pull this in. It's in here. Oops. Drag. Sorry, having trouble dragging.
Yep.
Say what? What's the trick?
From the command from the terminal. CD into hometowns.
Code period.
Yeah, but I want to open it in VS Code.
Code period. That does it.
Code period.
Rename.
CD into it first.
Oh yeah, thank you. So my window is being blocked by the "you are sharing."
I did.
It's so much easier when you're watching than when you're actually doing it.
Current director.
Yeah, it doesn't have.
Dang it. Okay, and that's because we can't. Just drag, man. Drag, please. Drag. Seriously.
You right click?
Yes.
There it is.
There. See you later.
Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So first, let's add Angular Google Maps.
Make that bigger as well.
And then we're going to import it, but before I do that, I'm just going to grab a little key. Here's my key. There we go. I already grabbed a Google API key, so I'm not going to waste time hunting that down. Let's go into that module. So we're going to import AGM core module from AGM core. And core module, oops, root. And their key. And let's see, let's gen out a map component. Oops. Cool. And before I do that, before I dive into the map component, I'm just gonna take the margin off the body because everybody and every single website in the history of the internet has had to do that. Oops. And also, let's set a font family. I'm feeling kind of whimsical, so how about we go with fantasy?
No fault.
All right, so let's go into our map component. And we're going to add the element that puts the map on the screen. And lucky for you guys, I memorized the centering coordinates. But I still can't type. This just centers the map over the United States. And then we'll set a zoom. The reason I'm putting these attributes in brackets is so that these are read as numbers, not as strings. All right, there's that. And then one thing we're going to need to do to make this actually show up is give it a width and a height. More importantly, a height. So I'm just going to do 100 view width and 100 view height. And let's serve it up and cross our fingers. Is that getting old yet? All right. Open. Let me route to that first. There we go. That was the problem. All right, and let's go back here. Move all this junk. Again. There it is. All right. Did I tell you guys this is going to be cheesy? It is. All right. So I'm not going to deploy that yet. There's not really any point, but let's add Firebase. So we'll jump into the Firebase console. And I've already newed up a new Firebase project. So what you're going to want to do is go over here, add Firebase to your web app, and then grab this little chunk of keys. And we'll go back to environments. Add them here. Oops. And fix this real quick. So TS length doesn't give us those ugly squiggly lines. Oops, what happened? Still there? Nope. I'm going to copy the same block over to the prod configuration. And just a side note, I'm going to get into Firebase rules, but putting your keys into the environment file doesn't obscure them in any way to somebody who wants to exploit your app. So now I'll add Firebase and AngularFire. Then I can go back into the app module. Hang on a sec. Oops. Got the name of this module. All right. So we're just going to grab that configuration that we just set up from the environment. And also notice that VS Code imported the wrong thing. Watch out for that, because that'll send you down a rabbit hole for a little while. All right. So at this point, we're not really leveraging anything from Firebase, but we can use it to host our app. So I've already done Firebase login and installed the Firebase command line tool. So at this point, all I have to do is Firebase init. And it's going to ask you, what features do you want to set up? And you don't have to worry about doing everything. This is just the stuff that you're going to set up locally. So right now, all I care about is hosting. And I'm going to go ahead and select the Hometowns project. And Angular compiles things into dist in name of the project. This is a spa. That's it. Now, deploy it. There it is. Oops, maybe not. Give it a second. Oh yeah, I didn't build it yet. Let me do that first. So those take a minute or two. Bear with me. You guys got to be tired of the elevator music, right?
You got reason. Really good reasons.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's what I'm using to trigger the samples.
Okay.
Yeah. Any questions so far?
As for hosting?
It's all pay as you go, and I'll get into it. But there's a Firebase app that I have lately that's been getting, I mean, not a whole lot of traffic, but I haven't hit any thresholds yet. It's still free.
Looking at running it right now. Already database, hosting, traffic, everything. It's not crazy traffic, but
Is your hosting transferring it?
yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
So I just hosted an app from the command line very quickly. And that's really valuable. That's pretty awesome. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to do a little bit of style setup here. So go into, I'm just going to add some styles so that we can have a little bit of a UI. And then we're going to go back here and just make use of that markup that we just created. So not too good with Emmet yet, so I'm just typing things out the old-fashioned way. You guys are going to get to see how awesome the fantasy font is. Okay, so got a little title thing that's going to show up here in the corner. It's Papyrus, spoiler alert. All right. And so at this point, I'm going to gen out a login component and the hometowns component. The hometowns component is just there to show you how we do an auth guard. It's really not going to do anything useful, but it's going to illustrate this pretty well. So go ahead and do that. And also make sure to add those to the router. Oops. All right. Okay, so now we're ready to add a login. And to do that, I'm going to create a user service. Put that in the services folder. Before I get into that, let's go back to the Firebase console. All right, so before we can do anything with authentication, we have to enable a provider. I'll enable Google because I think pretty much everybody has a Google account. And then since we have maybe more than one sign up from the same IP, I'm just going to enable this because I figure they made that just for this purpose, just for like doing presentations. Because otherwise, when do you have a whole bunch of people signing up from one IP address? I don't know. Okay. Let's go back. User service. I'm going to do some imports. And the thing we'll do is create a sign-in method. And I'm going to get into this. Let me just inject a few things here in our user service. Router. Okay, so the sign in with pop-up method just returns a promise. And we've specified use the Google Auth provider. And yep, I'm getting to that. So what happens is we're not using HTTP client here. And when this promise resolves, we're outside of the zone. So to get our execution context back, we call zone.run. Because without that, this router method isn't going to do anything. So let me actually inject the zone as well. Make sure all the imports worked. Good. Okay, and then the other thing I'm going to need to do is go back and add AngularFire auth as a provider. Cool. And oops. Let's go up here. The login component. Let's put a little bit of style on here. Let's add a login button. Just need to inject the user service here. Okay. By the way, I've experimented with just using an A tag, and if you add the href attribute so that you get the little cursor pointer, it can cause problems with the getting that login. Well, you'll see. Here, I'll just show you. By the way, when you implement these, there are branding guidelines you have to pay attention to. You can't just put some text here that says sign in with Google. Yeah. Okay. There's that. Let's go back to the user service and add a little method that we're going to use in a couple of different places. One is our auth guard, and then the other is for dropping a pin. It's just going to be user property here. So what's going on here in this isLoggedIn method? It returns an observable of a Boolean. We're going to pipe off of auth state. We'll use the first operator so that we don't have to unsubscribe. We're going to map the user to a Boolean, but before we do, let's get a reference to the current user so that when we're using this, we want to probably be able to reference properties of the current user, and this is a kind of a convenient way to just get a handle on it. And then finally, if the user isn't logged in and we pass this with redirect argument, we can route them back to login. So anytime we're trying to do something that requires authentication and they're not logged in, they're just going to get kicked back out to login. Just give a drink water here. And then finally, let's add a sign out method. All right. Pretty good. Let's go and add some content into our hometown component. We'll do that same floating box class. And badly formatted markup. And what this is just going to say is map to drop a pin on your hometown. Like I said, it's not a very useful component, but we're going to put a guard in there so you can see what a guard looks like with AngularFire. Okay, let's see here. So let's go back to routing. Oh wait, first let's create our guard. And we're just going to return that user service method. So let's check the user service. I think it can be private. Right. Yeah, the can activate method, it's like the protocol of a guard, expects one of these three. So our method returns an observable of a Boolean, so it works out perfect. And we're going to pass true so that if somebody tries to hit this route, they'll get redirected back to the login component. All right, so let's implement our guard in the routing module. go. And then finally, let's add a little bit of markup inside this hometowns, or the map component, which has our little hometowns title on it. Right here. Okay. But I still need the user service in the map component. Make it public so the markup can reference. Good. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're going to async pipe this user, if there is a user, else show this login block, which allows the user to log in. And then if they are logged in, we just show their name and a logout link. And regardless, we show this link to the hometown component. So let's go back and see if anything's broken. Okay, I need to serve it maybe. No, it's still serving. Okay, so something, oh, maybe I forgot to save. Yeah, that's what I did, okay. All right, cool. This is our guard. So if I click this hometown link, this has got the guard on it. So it should redirect me to the login component. And it does, but it doesn't have the style. And actually, I planned that because now I can show you about view encapsulation. So as you all probably know, Angular constrains all the styles of a component to the markup of the component. And it kind of keeps CSS from doing what it was meant to do, which is Cascade. So I'm going to make sure that these map styles can Cascade. Let's go back. Here we go. Okay, so now if we cross our fingers, we should be able to click this and log in. And it worked. Now it's going to drop me on the hometown component. Yes.
Yes! Oh my gosh!
All right. It worked. Isn't it awesome when things work? You know, I mean, really is. Okay. So now we've got auth in place, which is great. Let's do persistence with Firestore. So I'm just going to check my notes real quick. All right, so I need to go back to the Firebase console. I'm going to go to database. And there's two offerings. There's the real-time database and Cloud Firestore, which says beta here, but really that's the one you want. That's what everybody's choosing now when they build a new Firebase project. It's everything the real-time database offers and more. I'm going to create a database. I'm going to start in locked mode. And now I can take this opportunity to talk about the most important thing about building a Firebase app, which is securing it with the rules on your database. So let's do that. Take your time, Firebase, take your time. Okay, cool. So it gives you, we started in lockdown mode saying you can't do anything with this data. Well, let's change that. Allow read. And by the way, this funky syntax, you just have to pretty much RTFM, but this is just saying you can specify certain collections in certain documents. We're just going to use the wildcard syntax for now. So there's kind of two categories. You can just say allow read and write, or you can get more granular with it. And you can say allow get or list, which is the two things under read, or you can say allow create, update, delete, or you can just say write. But we're just going to allow create and update here. So allow create if request auth. Cool. There we go. My OS creeping up on me. And this is a handy tool. It's kind of hidden down here. Before you publish anything, you should definitely test things in the simulator. I'm just simulating a collection called fake and a document with the ID of 1, 2, 3. Can I read it? Can I read it? I was having trouble with this last night. I think there's actually some kind of issue with the Firebase console at the moment. But the important thing is, can we publish it? I think so, maybe not. Okay, try again. Yes, okay. So the simulator is not currently working. I did tweet at Firebase yesterday to let them know.
I think you should have had
So yeah, this is really the most important thing you should think about doing when creating a Firebase app. Learn how to use these rules. Make sure that you pick a schema that allows you to really lock it down. And that can be kind of tricky because you might just want to let everybody write a certain kind of document, like a suggestion for, you know, or like create a comment or something, but you can't because it also opens other doors. So you have to think about how you structure this. All right, let's see. Okay. So now we can go back here and start doing persistence with Firestore. Sweet. Right. So I'm going to add a map click event to our map. And for now, I'll leave it blank. I'm going to call the set hometown method. Right. I still need to inject Firestore. I also need to provide Firestore. So what we're doing here is we're using that familiar user service method is logged in. Subscribe to it. Don't worry about unsubscribing because I use the first operator. Passes this is logged in Boolean, which if it's there, I'm going to need an interface for that map marker. Right. Yeah. So the mouse event is actually a special kind of mouse event, which belongs to the Angular Google Maps module. It's not just a native browser mouse event. And it has map coordinates on it. So if the user is logged in, we can assign these coordinates to a marker. We'll add their name under a label and their photo URL, so we can display a photo of them. And then this is really the meat of it right here. We're going to create a document in the hometowns collection. We're just going to implicitly create it. We don't have to do any setup. And it's going to create it with this ID, which is the user's ID. So I have a reference to the user, and I'm just going to key it off of their ID so that they can keep clicking on the map, and it's just going to keep overwriting this document because this set method destructively creates the document. Whatever's there before gets destroyed and replaced. Save those. What am I missing here? Anything? Okay. So yeah, so now we can persist a marker, but we still can't see it on the map.
The document is what's stored in Firestore.
Yeah, and so if you're not familiar with NoSQL databases, a document is a record. Yeah. And the cool thing about Firestore is you can put a whole collection in a document. In that collection, you can have documents, and those documents you can have collections, and it just goes on like that for like 100 levels deep, I think. So it's pretty useful, and you can set up some pretty dynamic data sets. You don't have to worry about setting your columns first, like what properties is this document going to have? You can just add them on the fly whenever you want. All right, so let's create a markers observable. And this, to me, is the coolest thing about Firebase. The observable of a map marker collection. Then in the constructor, we'll define it. Then we'll type it. It comes from the hometowns collection. And then we're going to use this value changes method, which just returns an observable of everything that's in this collection. If I wanted to, I could add a query here, a reference, and then write like ref dot where, but we're just going to get everything. And it's really cool. I mean, observables in Firebase are like a match made in heaven because Firebase is a real-time database, and as things change, you get to see those things in your app in real time, and observables are the perfect vehicle for that. So let's add some markup to the markers. There you go. So we're going to loop over this observable with async pipe, and we're going to grab the latitude and longitude and assign it to the map, to the marker. And before I forget, let's add this in here. And then we added a little info window with the photo of the user and the name, so that when you click on the marker, you see who it belongs to. Okay, moment of truth. Back here. There it is. I click on it. There's my name and my photo. Cool. So now I'm going to keep this open. Well, I'm going to deploy it. And I'm going to ask you guys to take out your laptops. And while this is compiling, you can just head to hometowns-angularfire.firebaseapp.com. And I'll just bring that over here. You can see it while I'm deploying. We've got kind of a comment. Okay, so it's compiled, and I'll deploy it. Cool. Let's see if we got. Awesome. All right, so as you guys are loading up this app and logging in and dropping pins, we'll actually see the pins just start to appear on the map. So I'll just give that a minute. And while you guys are doing that, do you have any questions?
Question. Unless this is a non-periphery, but I noticed in the sign-up options, there's an anonymous user. Is that ability? Does that give the ability to basically have persistence without having to do the sign-up? So
exactly.
It's an onboarding.
Exactly, and I haven't used that, so I can't really say much about it, but.
Get wasted after that session. It's good for like guest checkout, and you can link an anonymous user to like a Google. So it'd be like someone goes from guest to. Okay.
Oh, okay. A really good example of it.
Yeah.
Machine Labs uses it. Machine Labs IoT. They use it so that if you log in and you do a bunch of work,
yeah,
cool.
You can then log in and take all the work done and associate it.
Yeah, I think that's what I'd be.
Jesse, you're from Pagosa Springs. Cool.
I just changed it.
Oh, you changed it. But isn't that cool? The observables allow things to just move around, and I had to write literally one line of code. I think that's so cool. This from Telluride.
You gotta keep zooming out. Yeah.
Oh yeah, let's get out here. Let's see. Oh my gosh. He was born overseas. David, cool.
Good job, Mom.
Cool. Let's know. To me. Yeah. Pretty cool. Somebody just moved their pin, I think, because the pop-ups went away. Nice. I don't know why that one's crunchy like that. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, did your parents dress you as a child? Cool. Oh, Jesse, you moved again. You used to be from Pagosa, now you're from Omaha style. Yeah, you can just say, oh, it's a town I like. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Let me just put up the last slide. There's one other thing I wanted to show you guys. So I did put this project on GitHub. It's right here. Another thing that I've been working on that is kind of how I learned all this is I built this thing called Podmap. And it's basically just like the same app, only a lot more stuff. So it's tracking the world's podcasts. And what you can do is you can search for a podcast, and then if it doesn't have a location, you can suggest one. And then what I do is I go and I moderate suggestions, and yeah, and they show up on the map. So yeah, interestingly enough, the top city is Melbourne. They say it Melbourne. They don't say Melbourne. So yeah. But yeah, check out these repos. You can kind of see like there's some more complex stuff, Firebase stuff going on in the second one. And yeah, that's it. Any more questions? All right, cool. Thanks, guys. Yeah.
Awesome. That was pretty cool, right? Wow. All right. Let's see. Speaker right there. Yeah, turn that on. All right. Yeah, that was awesome. That was really cool to see the end product there and be able to see really how easy that is to be able to implement an application using Firebase. And wow, that was great. I love the sound effects. I could press like that. Yeah, there you go. I can do this too. So hey, we got done a little bit early tonight. So hopefully we can hang out a little bit, network a little bit, hang out. So there's plenty of beer, plenty of pizza. Would love to hang out and chat a little bit. Jamie will be here for the entire time you can ask questions, dig in a little bit deeper. We'll be publishing the slides. Oh, we got t-shirts too. So do we have any questions for t-shirts? All right, we got a question from David.
What was the shortcut you used when you just div dot
Oh, that's Emmett.
floating?
Is this working? That's Emmett. It's built into VS Code.
Okay.
Yeah.
What font were you using?
Oh, that was Fantasy. Oh wait. Oh, the font. Fear Code.
You using Fear Code?
Yeah.
I use that font.
Yeah.
Too big. Too big.
Yeah.
Awesome. Any other questions? Are we at, why don't you, if you guys want to come up, you can get a t-shirt or water bottle.
Sweet. I'll take a t-shirt.
All right. What size do you wear?
Large.
Large? We got any larges over there?